Hello. Is it working? Hello. I can hear myself, so it must be. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to this live stream. Hospital Port as Pride and Dignity Stop the New World Order. How are you getting on, guys? You've got 11 viewers already. That's really, really great. That's really, really great. Yeah. This is the Julian Assange Extradition hearing live stream. And so I would like to let's just put these on so I can see better. Right. Welcome to. Am I muted? I shouldn't be. Woody, I shouldn't be because I just heard myself. I heard my own voice. No, I'm not muted. We have here Coda. Hi ho, and jolly well, Code. Hi, I've got something to show you in a minute, Coda. It'll amuse you. Hugo Rune. First for me, actually, Captain. Yeah, Hugo, welcome. It's good to see you. I've just emailed you. Can you check your emails afterwards? And we have hi ho and jolly well, Code. Pridely dignified. I know what that means in Unwanese, Coda. Welcome. I grab at the first common trail. Well, I think a couple of people got in there before you. Finally, some of the comments have disappeared. Now, this is not me deleting them. I have made a note of them. But during the waiting period, there were a couple of people posted comments. I've recorded them. Hello, Johnny Fettler. I'm looking forward to this. I probably won't be commenting as the rum is out. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. If I'm ever drinking, I don't comment. Because I regret it. When I watch it the next day, I regret it. Hello, Seth Aaron Fletcher. How do you do? And the Crotty Nihilist, how you doing? Yes. Do you see that I got your artwork came in very handy for my last video. Yeah. Woody Black. Hello, how are you? We are Indie House. Welsh Ripper, welcome. Israel Diego Rivera to the Real Genius, welcome. And we have Papa Langiloy. How do you do, Papa Langiloy? Hello, South Coast Richard. Welcome. How you doing? Bernie Tucker. Welcome. How you doing? Yeah, I was just want to show you something before we. This is just completely off topic, but it's because we've got Coda here. Here we go. Well, here we are. This is Stanley Unwin's grave. Here we go. In lovely. Here we go. Reunited in the heavenly abode, deep joy. Stanley Unwin and his dear wife Frances Anne. There you go. How about that? What'd you say to that, Coda? Do you like that? Yeah. We have here Janera. How'd you do? And Barry Taylor. Welcome, Barry. Oh, he's got a picture from Auf Wiedersehen Pet there. Oh, this is Mark. Liz is tired and emotional. Good to see Boudica in the last video. Hey, thanks, Mark. Oh, it's Mark. But yeah, it's really great to see you there. And hope Liz feels better soon. Hope Liz feels better soon. Hey, West London, how's it going? I like that. That's good. I like your South Park thing there. Yeah. 69 Phuket. Left the funky prepper live. It was bonkers. Oh, I'm upstaging them, which is good. Oh, you've seen it then, Coda. Yeah, that's a great. Have you been to the grave? Evening all from Essex. Hello, Sam Robottom. How are you? I won't make any jokes about angel delights and leg warmers and things like that. How do you do? Welcome, all of you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad I did. I wasn't sure whether to do this live stream actually because, of course, there hasn't been a ruling on the. There has not been a ruling on Julian Assange's extradition. It didn't happen. I mean, I kind of thought that might happen because, of course, I was at the High Court myself a couple of weeks ago, and there was no ruling on Richard D. Hall and his and the hearing that he was at, the preliminary hearing before his trial, and they say sometimes do this, so it looks like there's going to have to be another court case, or at least there's going to be a verdict at some point. But I wanted to get back into I wanted to do this live stream anyway. I was thinking of cancelling it, but then I thought no. I want to sort of like keep my pace up because I wasn't very happy with Wednesday's video. It wasn't the best one I've done. I think it was okay. It was all right, but I felt a bit embarrassed by it. See, obviously, I don't think you guys would accept any apology because I've had a lot of comments under that video saying they liked it very much. See, I knew I'd get kind of emotional about the subject, but I didn't expect. I was much more emotional than I thought I would be, and I was in a bit of a dilemma because I didn't have time to reshoot the whole thing. Also, I could have cancelled it, but I thought, no, I edited it the best I could and I uploaded it. And there's people underneath who've left a lot of really supportive comments towards me, a lot of very sympathetic comments. And when I do the next comments reply video, I'll reply to those. Okay, definitely. And Woody Blank says, procrastinating tossers in the justice system, a lot of them freeloaders. Yeah, well, it's at one level, it is kind of a big. It's kind of like a big scam, isn't it? And lawyers make money out of these, whatever happens. Coda, all sheddy tear and sniffly load there. Gone but not for lollop from the Thorcus. Yeah. I'm sort of getting the hang of Thorcus is that thoughts, I think that means. Does it, Coda? But yeah, it's just nice, isn't it? It's nice they've got that grave for him with his own constructed language in it. Yeah. But let's start with some good news. I'll just go through my notes there. I fucked the Zuck. Yes, I did. I didn't have that as the same problem I had last time. I've learned my lesson. This is why you may have noticed there was nothing in the description box. I put a little note there saying description box content will be added soon. The reason is because I think I mentioned this in the last live stream. When you post a video on Facebook now, they know the kind of, they can spot the forbidden links in the actual page you're actually posting. It doesn't have to be the page itself, the URL. It doesn't just look at the URL and say, oh, I can't post that. It scans the page you are posting and it says can't post that. This is why I've been adding links after I've actually put them on Facebook. But I thought it'd be all right with a YouTube description box. And what I did was I sort of deleted it just for a few minutes. I deleted the description box content for a few minutes while I was posting the page. I refreshed to make sure that it was the version of the page without the links in. But then it somehow knew. Somehow it knew. Somehow, I don't know how, but Facebook knew that I had edited that page. It was just they had access to some older versions. And it wouldn't allow me to post it. It said forbidden links, the banned links from the Panwo pages. So what I've been doing now, I didn't add anything in the description box at all until after I had added all the link for the player page, what you're watching now, to Facebook. Literally seconds after I'd done that and I'd shared it on all my groups, I just went and I added the description box back in. mm. Anyway, who's still with me now? Is it? We've got a few more people here. Della, how you doing? I am here, but cleaning the oven. Wild Friday night, eh? Well, I hope I helped the time pass, Della. I really, really do. I hope I held the time pass. So I fucked the Zuck. Okay, so we've got like a number of comments. These comments, there were some comments I say posted during the waiting period, which have now vanished. Not my fault. They just did. And also, of course, on the notice. So I'm gonna read both of those. Right, Roy Bland. Now I've got a feeling. Now Roy Bland denies this because Roy Bland has a very similar name to someone who turned up on the Rumble live stream and started being very obnoxious, and I had to block him. I have questioned Roy Bland about this, and he insists that he is not the same person. So, we'll see. We'll soon find out about that. Roy Bland says, why is there no video about Alexei Navalny, who died after a second assassination attempt by Putin's hit squad? Nothing to say on how peaceful protesters are treated in Putin's mafia state. All right, then, Roy, there's no video about Alexei Navalny, but there is a Hapanmo Voice article. If you go to Hapanmo Voice, you'll see that I have covered it there. I mean, a lot of people say, why aren't you talking about this, Ben? Why aren't you talking about that? And I say, I do, but you're only following me on YouTube. If you're only following me on YouTube, you'll only get half the story. So simply go to this particular page. There you go, Roy. It's all on there. It's all on there. Now, right. Firstly, the session. Right, you don't know, and there's no evidence that this was an assassination attempt by Putin's hit squad. Should President Putin actually have such a thing as a hit squad? I suppose you mean the FSB. There's no evidence the FSB were involved in this. And you say nothing to say about how peaceful protesters are treated in Putin's mafia state. Well, that's a very loaded. Calling it a mafia state is very loaded. Secondly, is this peaceful in the same way that the BLM protesters were mostly peaceful? Because this term peaceful is very. It's almost like manufacturers of soft drinks will say it's cool and refreshing. It's almost a slogan. So I'm not going to. So the answer is I'm not going to answer your question because they're loaded questions, and I've already explained how I doubt your premise. Right, Dave Yorkshire. Dave Yorkshire says here, a reminder that Assange was linked to the BNP members list with their addresses so they could be attacked by Antifa and sacked from their jobs, etc. Frankly, sod him. Yeah, I'm going to, David, if you're listening, David Yorkshire, I'll be bringing that up later. Sweeps Foxman says here, big one, Ben, with a large rule of law international implications, so I will definitely try to be there. Good on you. Sure, you're doing your homework. Well, I'm trying, Sweeps, and I've got I've got lots of what's the word? I've got lots of notes here. But yeah, I hope you can be there. Dave Yorkshire is there. Right. Hello, Dave. How you doing? And TK, hello, TK. How do you do? Welcome. Dave Yorkshire. Yeah, I don't know why you're. I don't know why your comment. I mean, I did copy your comment, so I've just answered it. We're going to, all right, Sweeps. Hello, Sweeps. How you doing? Ready? Finally, carry on talking, Navalny. All right. I've done an article about that, Sweeps. But anyway, yeah, we'll be discussing the point you made later, David. Definitely. So, where was I? Crafty Ninis will be there, says Crafty. Thanks, Ben. We'll be there. Oh, cool. Thanks very much. Now, Roy Bland's put another comment on here. This is on the notice. Why is there no video about Alexei Navalny, who died after a second assassination? All right, we've done that bit. This is almost the same as the one he put on the waiting period, but this is slightly different. He says nothing to say about how, again, the peaceful protesters I've already addressed, the mafia-run authoritarian kleptocracy. My goodness me. How do I respond to such a carefully controlled, logical treatise? Going after fascists. He's the ultimate fascist gang bossing a fascist state. All right. Well, calm yourself down, Roy Bland. I'm not going to address that now. As I said, there's an article there. There's an entire, in the article I showed you, there was an entire portal on issues to do with the Russia-Ukraine situation. So you can check that out there. So we have here Phuket, Assange's mental health should swing a verdict. Well, it did. You see, it did originally, but then it was actually Priti Patel who came up and then reopened the case. It did. We'll come on to that definitely because, I mean, it's here. The actual extradition order was dismissed, but almost a year ago now because of his mental health. And it's no wonder, he's not in the best of health. I mean, later on we're going to discuss this theory that he's somehow in some kind of, he's staying at the Hilton. Really, he's not really in jail and all this kind of backslapper bollocks. But he is in jail, and he's been in jail. Well, if you include the time he was at the Ecuadorian embassy, which is as good as jail, he's been in jail since 2012. He's been in jail for 12 years. Okay, so we'll carry on. Right, the Royal Courts of Justice. I was watching a few. I was watching some of the protests outside. Maya Tusi was covering it. I was there myself, as you know. I haven't. Again, this is all on Hapanmo Voice, but I have been covering the Richard D. Hall situation, and I did actually do an interview with Nick Colostrum. Should interest you on Hapanmo Radio. It actually was last night. Right, there we go. You might be interested in this. Part 1 is the important one. That's where Nick is, and I do an entire radio show all about the whole situation there. So if you're wondering why I haven't covered this on Hapanmo TV, it would just be kind of repeating myself. Hello, Nihilist Lives Matter. How do you do? Welcome. I think Putin took Nav out. Well, maybe more information will come that way. Hello, TK. How do you do? Hello, Angela Kenyon. Welcome. Okay. So, let's carry on. We've got to look at what this actually means. Now, I've got to just get these in order. I've got I listened to this radio show a little while ago, and there's this one here. I was listening to this. I've not actually finished it yet, but I think I've got through the most important bit. There's Nikki Campbell. This is. I'm not a big fan of this, but it was. I don't know what's the show called. It's just BBC Sound. It's just a podcast thing. It's just a Nikki Campbell show, I suppose. But it's over 2 hours long, so I didn't have time to listen to it all. But it just says takes your calls on all the day's talking points. There you go. And he had this guy called Alan Mendoza on, who is he's a rather officious character actually. I've seen several videos with him, and I find him a bit of a rather bland, bureaucratic, and I don't think he's terribly honest, to be honest. Yeah. West London. Well, I wonder if Assange regrets what he did, and if he would do it, and if he would it again if he could go back in time. That's an interesting question, West Londoner. He may well about some things. I mean, it's unlikely he doesn't regret something. I mean, I think almost everyone. I certainly would say that about certain elements of my life. Certainly. Hefty punch hits the sky ball for D. Hawley Rich Loader. Yes, I know what that means, Coda. Punch the air for Richard D. Hall. Yes. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know. I mean, so yeah, these Alan Mendoza was on. He said that Assange should be extradited so he can face trial. That's what he's saying here. He says, well, Chelsea Bradley, whatever he, she, they, its name is, was bad. It was the real bad guy, and was the one who'd done all, in his view, bad. I mean, I wouldn't call what he did he, she, it, they bad. I'd say what he, she, it, they did was actually, I think, is quite heroic, actually. But Mendoza said that Manning was basically had leaked classified information, and that Manning did do time in jail. And of course, this was commuted by Obama. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, maybe we'll go on to this later because I'll bring this up at the end. But Trump didn't pardon Assange. In fact, Trump did absolutely nothing to stop the pursuit of Assange. So, seeing as Manning had done this, why shouldn't Assange also be extradited so he faces trial? And Alan Mendoza says that Assange was not at the embassy because he was a political prisoner. He was at the embassy because of this Swedish rape charge. Because he'd been accused on, I think, 2 counts of rape in Sweden, and they were going to extradite him for this. And so he should try and sort it out in court. If he's so sure he's innocent, why doesn't he try and sort it out in court? And of course, the charges were dropped, but the charges are time limited, he said. And really, the UK, Mendoza says the UK justice system is very good. It's very good. And if Assange is found innocent in the court of law, Mendoza would support that. This is what I mean about him being very dishonest, because I mean he must know this is not true. He also said Julian Assange was not a journalist. I mean, it depends how you define journalist. If he has an approved press card, then no. But if he's someone who does the job of a journalist, you could say he is. You could say I'm a journalist too. Manning, as I said, has served time for his, her, she, they, its roles. So why shouldn't Assange do that as well? That's what Mendoza was saying. However, there was this other lady who came on who was like I forgot the name of what it was. I forgot the name of the organization, but it's basically supports journalists' rights and stands up for journalists who are persecuted by the law. And makes the point that basically Julian Assange is in court in a UK court, but has broken no British laws. And this UK court now, the United States of America has no sovereignty over this country. In fact, it has no sovereignty over any territory except its own, like all sovereign states. So why is Assange in a UK court being basically under trial to be extradited to the United States? You know, if Britain makes the same requests for extraditions from the US always says, no. The US always dismisses any extradition request the UK makes to the United States. So why are we playing? Why are we being so Why are we being so agreeable to them? And she also said, this lady, what will happen as a result of this, and she's dead right, is that this is going to make investigative journalism against the government essentially illegal. What's happened to Assange is it is a bit like it's very similar actually to what's happened to Richard D. Hall in a way. It's ironic because Richard is not a fan of Assange, and I'm going to go into the points Richard makes later. But this what is, I mean, it's not officially against the law, but it's like what will happen is if you do investigative journalism against the government, they will find some way of persecuting you by loopholes and all kinds of trumped up charges and things like that. If they can organise that well enough, they don't have to literally make laws saying you can't investigate the government. They'll just say you can investigate us if you like, but there'll be some consequences, to quote Justin Trudeau. Consequences. Now, one of the accusations that Mendoza made, and many other have done, is that Julian Assange put people's lives in danger. Now, everyone who leaks classified information could do this. If you were leaking some classified information, you could endanger agents in the field. You could leak something that could give help to an enemy nation. This is why people like David Fravor and David Grush went through the proper channels. Because supposing Fravor decided to just approach the media independently and just tell them what he knew about UFOs. Now he could have within his information package, for example, secret information about the capabilities of the ships in the fleet, which could fall into the hands of an enemy nation, and they could use it against the United States at some point. Indeed, the main reason now I think they're holding back a lot of the information about the Tic Tac footage is for that, because it's not the actual subject matter, that is UFOs. It's the fact that it could reveal information about the capabilities of the sensors of these ships. You know, things such as radar, electronic support measures, sonar, things like that. And so, yeah, you can, if you ever get hold of classified information, you have to realize that you might do it. If you just put it all on the net and don't know what you're doing, you could get people killed. There's many examples in the Cold War. I mean, sometimes it was done deliberately by people like George Blake, who was a spy. They estimate George Blake was a Soviet agent working in British intelligence, and they estimate that George Blake cost the lives of several hundred people. Basically, these were mostly people in East Germany basically in the 50s and 60s, who were revealed they were West agents working for like MI6, CIA, and their identity was revealed, and they were. I mean, they were much more brutal over there. I mean, they literally torture you for all the information they wanted, and then they kill you. And this guy, this is a good book. This is one of them here. This is a good book. Get hold of this if you can. The Spy and the Traitor. It's Ben McIntyre. That's very good because it tells the story of one of them. Oleg Gordievsky. Yeah, that's a very good book actually. What's this? Get that book as well. Roswell Rising: A Novel of Disclosure. Shut up. All right. So, you know, but then what this lady said was that Assange did know what he was doing, and he actually did not leak he didn't leak all the information he had. Some of the information that eventually came out was not leaked by him. It was leaked by a third party that gained access to it, and Assange tried to stop it because he knew what it could do. He knew the dangers of releasing that information. Now, as far as the rape charge goes, right, that was dropped because it wasn't dropped because of a time limit. It was dropped because of 4 independent judicial reviews. And also, I mean, come on, let's face it, Sweden. This idea, the Swedish, we can't prosecute him for rape because all the time's run out. This is the feminist Saudi Arabia we're talking about here. And Julian Assange is a filthy white male. Are you honestly telling me that if they wanted to do him for rape, they couldn't find some way? Nonsense. It wasn't, Manning is talking, I'm sorry, Manning. Mendoza is talking bollocks again. Also, what is it here? I mean, Mendoza says, well, why not? Why, he should sort it out in court. I'm all in favor of him getting a fair trial. He should be extradited. It's in it's in Assange's interest to be extradited because then he could have a fair trial and be released. He'll be out of custody much sooner if he's extradited than if he's not. I mean, honestly, I mean, he's not that naive. He is not. He's lying. He's lying. I think he is. Assange is not going to get a trial. This is the United States under Biden. This is Biden. He'll disappear into the black hole of the usual, Guantanamo Bay and things like that. Remember, he's not a U.S. citizen. He doesn't have any of the rights that a U.S. citizen does. I mean, like not that makes any difference these days. The way things are going, all the legislation that was put on the books in the Patriot Act and the Department of Homeland Security, that all still stands. Extraordinary renditions still can happen. So he is a journalist. It is about journalism. He is a political prisoner, and the US is pulling the strings, and the UK is going along. That's what this lady says. I agree with that lady, and I think Mendoza is wrong. And what's more, there's this Kim Iverson on Rumble has said that they have actually stated that the charges could change after the extradition. This is worrying because at the moment he could be looking as little as a sentence as short as 6 years once he's extradited, and he'd obviously hopefully get like time served, which means he'd probably walk free from court. But they're saying the charges could change after the extradition. There's nothing to stop that happening should Assange be extradited. Okay. So it says there's a bit of background to him. Mr. Assange has been in the UK. Julian Assange, founder of the whistleblowing website WikiLeaks, went to the High Court on the 20th and 21st of February in what could be his final bid to avoid extradition to the US. Mr. Assange, who has been in a UK prison since 2019, is wanted by the US for disclosing secret military files in 2010 and 2011. Mr. Assange gained a reputation for computer programming as a teenager, and he was fined for hacking offensive in his native Australia. He claims to have published more than 10 million documents, including many confidential or restricted official relating to war, spying, and corruption. And he talks about the Collateral Murder movie. Now, again, this is Manning has already done time for this, but remember what it was. I mean, this was an act of gross negligence by the U.S. What's it called? The Provisional Authority in Iraq, in which a number of people were killed, including two men who worked for Reuters, the British news agency. They were mistaken for insurgents by a helicopter crew, who then opened fire on them and killed and injured a number of them. Now, if you did something like that, supposing you were the CEO of Mercedes and you built a car which there was something wrong with it. I'm not just talking about Diana's. I'm talking generally. And you really messed up, and you produced a line of cars with no brakes, for example, and then someone drives those cars and they get killed because you didn't put brakes in the car. Now, what would you do? I mean, by rights, you should go to jail. You should go to jail for for culpable gross negligence leading to death. I mean, the same way a driver who drinks and drives should. Now, what the Provisional Authority in Iraq did was they tried to cover it up, so that they wouldn't have to face this very embarrassing, and indeed, they had to win hearts and minds in Iraq and things like that, and they tried to cover it up, and Manning leaked it. And the Department of Justice in the United States described it as one of the largest compromises of classified information in history. And they did include that they put individuals in Afghanistan and Iraq at risk of serious harm, torture, or even death. Well, the lady who's like standing up for Assange claims that didn't happen. That the actual information was not leaked by Assange. It's not his fault. You could say that it might have been his fault in the long run because he created this organization and was approached. Now, his own lawyers say he could face up to 175 years in jail. The US government says between 4 and 6. He's in Belmarsh right now. He's in HMP Belmarsh. And let's have a look. There's a thing here about his yeah. It's not like, I mean, it's a top security prison. He is confined to his cell at HMP Prison Belmarsh for 23 hours per day. He has 1 hour of recreation per day, which is conducted inside. After a visit to Assange in December 2023, the writer Charles Glass observed that Assange was pale. Assange told Glass that he had accumulated 232 books while at Belmarsh. Yeah. Well, I guess reading books is the only thing you can do. I mean, I suppose if I was ever in jail, at least it's you can joke about it, and it's a chance to catch up on all the reading you've been meant to do for your lifetime. But he's not allowed out in the yard. The recreation is conducted inside. No wonder he's looking pale. He's getting no sunlight. But I mean, is he under solitary confinement? Because I heard that he'd met Tommy Robinson, and he'd actually spoken to Tommy Robinson, which means he would be allowed to mingle with the general prison population if he's in like solitary confinement. He wouldn't be able to do that. But I mean, he's not like a nonce or anything, is he? I mean, he's, what they're going to do. I mean, they're not going to treat him the way they treat a child abuser. I mean, people who abuse children have to be separated because the other cons will kill them. So yeah, that's his life at the moment. In 2020, a High Court ruled that he should be extradited. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Dismissing claims that his poor mental health means he might take his own life in a US jail. Well, I mean, if you've been sort of locked up for 12 years, first in the Ecuadorian embassy, then in a prison, I wouldn't be in the best of moods either. Now, the Supreme Court overturned the decision, but then Home Secretary Priti Patel confirmed the extradition order, and so at first it was dropped, and then it's now been confirmed again. So that's, I mean, in some legal systems, that's like a double jeopardy charge, things like that. Mr. Assange went back, seeking permission to review Mrs. Patel's decision to try and challenge the original 2021 court ruling. His supporters say this might be his last legal challenge. Mr. Assange's lawyers have asked the European Court of Human Rights to consider his case. Oh, right. So, I mean, it's the ECHR that stopped the Rwanda thing. I mean, I don't want to be like, obviously I'm a Brexiteer, and I don't think the ECHR should have any jurisdiction over this country. And it is actually very frustrating when I see the government caving into them. It's like, I mean, I don't understand why they do this. It's like they've had this vote in Parliament over the ceasefire in Gaza. Why? The UK Parliament is not sovereign in Iraq, in Israel. It's not sovereign. So why? Is Benjamin Netanyahu going to go, oh my God, the UK government's voted against us? Oh, we better stop what we're doing. No, of course not. Why are we, as Britons, under the jurisdiction of the European Court of Human Rights? But I mean, if he can, if in needs must, if he can take advantage of that, why not? Yeah. And it said he was at the Ecuadorian embassy. There was an arrest warrant for Mr. Assange in 2010, accusing him of having raped one woman and molested another. Although that's just I mean, honestly, as I said, it's ridiculous. If that was real, why has it just been sort of forgotten about? It's been forgotten about because it didn't work. It was a trick. After 2 years of legal battle, the UK Supreme Court ruled that he should be extradited. He went on the run to try and seek a political asylum in Ecuador. He got as far as the embassy, but no further because this was surrounded by the police. And there was a siege that lasted until 2019, basically. And in April 2019, the new president of Ecuador, Lenin Moreno, ordered Mr. Assange to leave the embassy. Basically, they washed their hands of him. And they said it was because of his discourteous and aggressive behavior, because apparently he was a bit obnoxious in there. But mind you, if I was stuck at in where he lived, and I was looking into this, they basically converted an office into a flat, and it was about. They said it was like roughly 100. I think it was 120 square feet. There was a bed there. There was somewhere for him to sit. He had like a toilet, an exercise bike, and that's where he was. Now, if I was put in that room, right, if I was put in that room for 7 years, I probably wouldn't be the best company in the world either. I probably wouldn't. And then he got married. He married his longtime partner, Stella Morris. And they had 2 children fathered while he was living in the Ecuadorian embassy. The mind boggles how they managed that, but yeah. Stella Morris married Julian Assange in Belmarsh prison in 2022. Mrs. Assange wore a wedding dress designed by Dame Vivienne Westwood, who's campaigned for Mr. Assange's behalf. Both their children attended the ceremony along with Mr. Assange's father and brother. That's sad, isn't it, that he's got 2 kids and his wife, they had 2 kids. They were born. He couldn't go to the birth because presumably she was at a maternity hospital. And then I suppose the kids have just visited him, haven't they? They've just visited him at the embassy. Now they're visiting him in jail. Mrs. Assange said that her husband will not survive US extradition. Well, I mean, he's looking really rough right now. I mean, even when he was taken out in 2019, if you remember, I did a live stream about it. He's looking as rough as hell anyway. How are you guys getting on in the chat box? I should check back on you every so often. I hope you're all right. Anyone new turned up? Hatchy, welcome. Welcome, yes. West Londoner. Stella Morris, no relation to Stella Artois. Yeah, I probably not. She doesn't come in pints, I don't think. Hello, David Splendid Isolation. Welcome. How are you? How are you, sir? Sweep says Julian was disclosing everything about Hillary Clinton. What happened to her enemies? Oh, yes, the body count. Spanish court had summoned former CIA director on arranging the assassination of Assange. There's no due process in the USA. Of course not. Of course not. As Robert Kennedy Jr. has been saying, and he's now Robert Kennedy's now. He's now. What's he doing now? He's now campaigning for Sirhan to be released, and he has actually got a parole order now. He doesn't believe that this man shot his father. Yeah, it doesn't matter, David. Yeah, it depends whether the judge agreed that his health is in jeopardy. I know. Well, it depends whether they uphold the 2021 Supreme Court ruling, or they go along with Patel and what she wanted to do. Papa Langoloy. We're going to talk about Seth Rich in a minute. Yes. Seth Rich, the computer will be released in 66 years. It probably 666 years, mate. All right. Now, this is interesting. The Australian politicians support the release of the WikiLeaks founder. Australia's parliament has passed a motion calling on the US and UK to release Julian Assange. Now, the thing about this is, again, the Australian government is not sovereign in either UK or USA, unfortunately. I mean, they may hold some weight because Assange is one of their people. That's his homeland. So they may hold some clout there. It's supported by the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, who supported the motion, called for Assange to come to a conclusion since taking office in 2022. He raised the matter with US President Joe Biden during a state visit in October. Oh, God, that must have been hilarious. Julian, who? I don't know anyone called Assange. Oh. Yeah, I mean, the guy, Stella, his wife, says that he would not survive. I mean, you see, like they're saying he won't face the death penalty, but I mean, he's already on death row. I mean, if he doesn't get out, he's not going to last much longer. I saw a picture of him. I mean, he's only 52, but he looks about 72. He looks terrible. And Julian Assange's lawyers describe US prosecution as state retaliation, which of course it is, yes. Now, someone mentioned Seth Rich. Now, Seth Rich is one of the names on this rather famous list. If you piss off Bill or Hillary Clinton, you get mysteriously accident prone. It's sometimes car crashes. It's sometimes plane crashes. Light aircraft crashes is one of the favourites. But anyway, WikiLeaks in 2016, WikiLeaks received a series of emails revealing corruption at the Democratic National Convention. The emails were about how the convention was plotting to sabotage the presidential run of Bernie Sanders and make sure that Hillary Clinton won. Yeah, and what's interesting is that there's all kinds of weird stuff going on, because at first they thought it was a hacker, but anyway, it was. I must say, it was really, really frustrating when that stupid old fool, went and endorsed her, didn't he? After £200 million was raised for, Feel the Burn, Bernie Sanders and his campaign, the doddering old fool went and endorsed her. He's almost as gaga as Joe Biden. I mean, I don't know. You see, the thing about Bernie Sanders is I actually know his brother. His brother is a councillor here in Oxford. Larry Sanders, and his son Jacob is also a councillor for the Green Party. And I went to school with his daughter. That's Bernie's niece, whom I didn't get on with, shall we say. The chairwoman of the convention, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, resigned, but and that's where it ended. You'd think there'd be, like, the police would be involved, because this is like Watergate. This is, but even Trump didn't order an investigation. You think he would? I mean, because after the way, he and Hillary, like, were rivals in the end. Now, according to apparently the leak was obtained by a hacker. These were a team of hackers codenamed Lucifer 2.0, and their identity has never been revealed. Or he, she, or they claim they apparently live in Romania, but that's all we know about them. But then they worked out that this can't have been it can't have been Gucci for 2.0 who got them, because the amount of material that was actually obtained and the time period, it would take a long time to download all that material. The only way they could actually have accessed, WikiLeaks actually got hold of that information, is if someone literally got, like, sneaked in like a memory stick and gone like that and dragged and dropped a few files and went like that. They would have to have done it computer to computer by an interface or on a network or something. It couldn't have been a hacking. It couldn't have been online. And, well, who could have done that? Well, the fingers pointed at a staffer called Seth Rich. And he was walking home one night from the convention in Washington D.C., and someone came up and shot him. Now, the police came. It was the police then said, "Oh, it's just an attempted robbery." However, normally, if they would do that, they would have tried to take some things from his pockets. It doesn't make sense. Nothing was stolen from the body. Nothing. Now, this could be. I mean, is it a coincidence that Rich managed to get this material that basically demonstrated that Hillary Clinton was doing dirty deals behind the scene, and then suddenly someone just came up and shot him randomly, or is there a connection? In fact, Seymour Hersh, one of America's most experienced and respected journalists, announced that Seth Rich was indeed the deep throat in the DNC. Yeah. Although he doesn't actually dispute the findings, the police findings, which is really naive and or willful ignorance. Yeah. Now, is the prosecution, Claire Dobbin, KC, counsel for the United States government, said the plans to extradite and prosecute Mr. Assange, who founded WikiLeaks, were based on his alleged actions, not his political opinions. And then she said it wasn't a slip or an error. This was the publication of material unredacted. It's a dilemma, actually. I mean, what would I do if someone just came up to me and handed me a load of stuff about crash retrievals and stuff like that? What would I do? I have a choice: either publish or do not publish. if you don't publish it, you could be missing an opportunity to reveal some absolutely crucial information about a massive, massive injustice that's been committed, a massive crime that's been committed by the government against the people of the world. On the other hand, you could be releasing there could be some information corollary to what you've got, to the main material, which could jeopardize the identity of agents and things like that, which could result in prosecutions, that could result in deaths. That's the dilemma. So this way, it's best if you want to get into the realm of leaking, you need to know what you're doing. So you need to have some people on the team who possibly have experience in military intelligence and things like that. So they would know that. They would know what way you're going. You see what way you're going. Hmm. Right. Okay. Is Dave Yorkshire still there? Let's have a look. You still there, Dave? Hello, Saturday Sunny. How you doing, mate? How you doing? I hope you're all well. Now this is where's Neil Sanders is Bernie Sanders' daughter. I don't know if he is. He's covering it up very well. I knew his niece. Like I said, I didn't get on with her. I don't want to say too much about it, but I did not get on with that girl. I mean, I haven't seen her since I was at school, so maybe she was in my class at school. I didn't like her, so maybe yeah. But Doctor Larry Sanders, he was all right. I got to know Larry Sanders when I was during my brief hiatus as a trade unionist. Because he's very left wing. He was on the left of the Labour Party. I think he's now in the Green Party. But I got to know him there. And I met him again actually a couple of years ago during the anti-fracking protest. He was there. I don't mind him. He's okay. But his daughter, not a nice person in my view. Certainly, our personalities clashed, so we say, when we were both teenagers. David says, Bernie made many millions in his career. He's a champagne socialist, a fraud. He doesn't care about anything he preaches because he doesn't live it. It's his shtick. Well, I mean, I don't know about that, David, but I do want to know what did he do with the 200 million he raised for his campaign? And then he goes and endorses old bitch Hillary. Yeah. Oh, Michael Snow, my mate played in a metal band with Neil Sanders. Oh, right. I don't think his name's Neil Sanders. I don't think Sanders is a common name. I don't think he's related to the that Sanders family. Anyway, Dave Yorkshire made a good point here. This is right. BNP membership list appears on WikiLeaks. Right, thousands of names and addresses of members of the British National Party were published on the internet. This is obviously a breach of data protection. Now, there's been several leaks like this. I think Dave Yorkshire gone? I think he's gone. He might still be there. Anyway, David Yorkshire, if you're listening, you brought this subject up, and so yeah, I'll definitely reply to you on this. The source of the data remains unclear, but it appears to show details of the BNP's members and supporters, and data about memberships of the party have lapsed. The BNP had 11,811 members, including several doctors and military personnel. The party appears to have benefited from a surge in female recruits. The highest concentrations of members are in Leicestershire, Lancashire, Derbyshire, and Lincolnshire. And membership is growing in Wiltshire and East Sussex, outside of the party's traditional homelands. WikiLeaks said the lists have been verified to be accurate in all cases examined by WikiLeaks. However, it should not be assumed every person with a BNP membership number is a current member of the BNP. Nick Griffin said it was a malicious forgery. As it happens, though, the Guardian, of course, tried to phone a couple of people, and they said, "Look, I've got nothing to do with them," and put the phone down. Hey, Hatchy, what's this? Eric Von Essex was a banging show. Not meant to be patronising. You're good in a group. You bounce. Oh, thanks, Statue. Well, Eric has actually invited me back, which is nice. I'm going to be back. Is it next Monday or the Monday after? So I'm going to be back on the show. Now, Why? This is the question. Why did WikiLeaks do this? What you'd think it wouldn't be their sort of their remit to release information on the membership of a political party. Why? Why is it why is it WikiLeaks' remit to release private information on a political party? I mean, I know what somebody will say. Well, the BNP were an evil party. Well, I don't think they're evil. No, I didn't think they were evil. I know some people who were involved in it, and I don't think they were evil. I mean, I disagree with some of the things they stand for, but not evil. No, I don't think they're evil. Um, but even if they were, you just taking someone's. If you disagree with a political party, supposing there are many political parties I totally agree with, like the Labour Party or the Conservative Party. Now, if someone said to me, right, well, here is a list of all their names and addresses, and what's more, we lived in a kind of in the kind of society where being a member of the Labour Party or the Conservative Party would get you sacked from your job, and people would write horrible things about you in newspapers and things like that. Or maybe we will, or some, maybe one day. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Would I release that information? No, I wouldn't, because I think that's just plain. That's just plain dirty. That's just, to me, that's, I don't know. It's not cricket. It's not cricket. West London said, I met Nick Griffin at a health spa, just saying, and that makes me a racist. I saw a load of black people like getting selfies with Nick Griffin, so I suppose they're racist as well. Diego Rivera, is Assange connected to UFOs? Oh, right, we'll come on to that because I wrote an article about that recently. What's this? Sweeps. Assange's political attorney Sean Lucas found dead. Whistleblower for WikiLeaks and Assange. I suppose someone's going to say that's just a coincidence, are they? Are they going to say it's just a coincidence that you start talking about certain things, supporting certain people, revealing certain information, or even like threatening to, and you have a heart attack or your car crashes, it breaks down on a level crossing like Thomas Barron, or you have a plane crash like JFK Jr. or did he? Did he? Oh, I'm not going there tonight. I'm not going to the JFK Jr. thing. Juan O'Savin or Vincent Fuchsia, whoever he is. But you end up like very accident prone and your health suffers badly. Hey, Rhiannon, how are you? Oh, how are you? I hope you're having a nice rest. So yeah, it's that's a question, isn't it? That's a question. Now, someone mentioned UFOs, right? Now, what's your name? Edward Snowden, who of course is a close associate of Assange, said something the other day. Here we go. I wrote an article about it there, so you can read up all about this. But basically, he said during ObjectGate last year. Do you remember ObjectGate? I did a series of videos about ObjectGate. I've done. Let me just show you the portal I've done. Let me just show you the portal. I've done an entire portal, a mini portal on ObjectGate. There you go. And it's got all the things. It's all these. Every article, video, and radio show I've made about this is here, including my UFO Truth magazine article, or an advert for it because you've got to buy that. But all the others are free. Saga on UFOs, Thingamajig over Alaska, third row radio shows, these live streams. It's all there. It's all there. Now, Snowden, I should have put that. I should have added that. I should have added this to it, actually. Said at the time, quote, "It's not aliens. I wish it were aliens, but it's not aliens. It's just the old engineered panic, an attractive nuisance ensuring national security reporters get assigned to investigate balloon bullshit rather than budgets or bombings, a la Nord Stream. Until next time." All right. And of course, like, because Snowden is this former intelligence officer, he's an admired countercultural figure like Assange. We assume that what he says has to be so, but it's not. You see, it's just more backslapper fodder. Why? Why do they make up stories? I mean, there's so much worldly drama about Ukraine, Taiwan. There's soap opera bombshells. There's celebrity scandals. There's no need to invent fairy stories about UFOs to distract the defense press or the general press. In fact, some such phantasms might actually trigger the opposite reaction. As I said many times, these things can backfire. And Chris Mellon tweeted this: I see Edward Snowden espousing the view that the US government is using an alien threat to justify increased defense spending. In fact, as anyone following the comments of Dr. Kirkpatrick lately, or any other administration at any time knows, the US government is doing precisely the opposite, as it always has, flatly denying there's any evidence at all of aliens. The issue has only become a topic of discussion because a couple of former insiders and Navy pilots engaged the press and Congress. Finally, given what is transpiring in Ukraine, the Middle East, excuse me, and the Pacific, the US government doesn't need to invent bogus reasons to justify increased defense spending. Anyone who believes the US government is leveraging UAP to justify increased defense spending is clearly plainly out of touch with the facts. Well said, sir. Yeah. Just because Snowden was in the NSA, it doesn't make him omniscient. He's not a titan. He's a human being like the rest of us. He works in a compartmentalized organization. And it's like these fools who keep going about, David Grush never handled an alien, so he must be lying. Yeah, that's nonsense. It's all nonsense. Oh, Hatchie. Yeah, we're gonna talk about Bill Cooper because Bill Cooper talks about Bin Laden. This is coming up now. Now, of course, the backslappers have their own view about this. Now, I'm not going to show you any of this, but it's worth watching this Rich Planet show. Right? This is Rich Planet 240, a WikiLeaks made by the NSA, and there's 240. This is the main one, WikiLeaks and Julian Assange, in which Richard D. Hall interviews Andrew Johnson, just for a change. And then 247 and 270 have more information on Assange here. I'm not going to show you any of this. It's not that I would get some kind of. It's not that Richard would do me for copyright. He wouldn't. No. I mean, I think obviously, like, I've got this dispute going. I've got this ongoing dispute with Richard, but he wouldn't play dirty in that way. Richard's not the type to play dirty in that way. He wouldn't like. But you see, it's actually YouTube. It is YouTube who would do it. YouTube would probably treat this particular live stream like they treated the last one, and put on like a stupid automatic copyright strike, and not least because they've banned Richard's channel. Oh no, they didn't ban it. The BBC told them to ban it, and they said, "Yes, we'll ban it. We'll ban it. If you say so, it doesn't matter that Richard hasn't broken any rules. We'll still get rid of his YouTube. We'll still get rid of his YouTube channel." But anyway, Richard, the point of this, right, is that, yeah, I think. I'll tell you what. I was gonna play a game of backslapper bingo with you guys. Which it is always fun, and I mean, you can play it privately in your own time. You can watch the video and play it privately in your own time. But I bet you'll get a full card pretty soon. Yeah, I mean, I got a full house by episode 2. Rhiannon says here, what's it? Richard would probably be delighted if you played his videos, but YouTube would use it as an excuse. Exactly. Yeah, Richard. I don't think he'd be delighted, but I don't think he would mind. I don't think he would be delighted, but he wouldn't object. He wouldn't like. He's not the type. I mean, he does fight fair, Richard. To give him his credit, he does fight fair. But yeah, we'll just start our little game of backslapper bingo, which is fun. It's always fun to play when you're watching Richard, or you're watching Andrew Johnson, or Jeremy Reese, or Stephen Cambion, or any of the other backslappers. So basically, Richard's saying that the Julian Assange he's a fake. He's what Richard calls a fake hero, a controlled opposition, a US intelligence asset since 1990. WikiLeaks is essentially intelligence reconnaissance. WikiLeaks is nothing more that an organization which people who have information and want to leak it secretly approach, so that the government know exactly who's doing that sort of thing. So it's a fake clearinghouse for secret information. Its real purpose is to identify those who have security clearances who may be wavering and may be the kind of people you can't trust. And then Richard said, it's disappointing to see how many alternative media platforms are falling for it. I'm not, because I'm superior, but everyone else is. Well, bing, that's one. And that's a typical, that is actually kind of almost like a backslapper cliche, Oh, they're all falling for it except me and Andrew Johnson. We're not falling for this, but everyone else is, man. It's like that psyop until proven otherwise. Have any of you heard that? Any of you heard that actually coming from backslappers? It's psyop until proven otherwise. I've heard it from so far Jeremy Reese and Andrew Johnson. Richard hasn't said it yet. Cambion hasn't said. Well, actually, I don't watch all of Cambion's stuff because he uploads about 3 hours a day. But I know it's kind of catching on. It's becoming the new buzzword for the backslapper. What I'll do is I won't, like I said, I'm not going to read out. I'm not going to show you the video, but I'll read the blurb. In conspiracy circles, WikiLeaks generates much excitement, but not at Rich Planet. Whenever you hear the words Assange or WikiLeaks in relation to some new leak, there are the questions you ought to be asking yourself. Well, I always ask myself questions. You don't have to be a backslapper to like doubt things you are told. And of course, the thing about the backslappers is they are right that there are shills, and they're right there is disinformation. It exists. I just don't think it's everywhere, and I'm the only person who can see it. That's what doesn't make me a backslapper. That's the difference between me and the backslappers. Firstly, what is the ulterior motive for this leak, and am I being taken for a ride here? In other words, are these people all being taken for a ride except me? Bing, that's another one. In today's program, for the first time anywhere, I reveal how much of a handled entity Julian Assange is. Bing. Assange is not an independent activist, but is chauffeured around by the establishment handlers. He's not a wanted criminal. He's not been given asylum. He's not a whistleblower. So where is he? Where is he then? Is he in jail or not? Is he in prison? I mean, is he really staying at the Hilton under a fake identity and not Belmarsh jail? Because Richard did actually suggest that Tommy Robinson might not have been in prison, which I doubt. I think Robinson was in prison. He's not an advocate of freedom of information. He's an intelligence-created tool being used to front one of the biggest psyops being currently in operation on the planet. WikiLeaks is funded and supported by globalists who are using it for a number of agendas. And Richard then goes through the evidence. He and Andrew go through the evidence. Now, I did watch this one. I watched this program when it first came out. I've only had time to watch 2 parts for this. So, to be fair, I mean, there might be something in part 3 or 4 that proves me wrong, and that Richard and Andrew are right. But anyway, he makes the point, and someone else has mentioned this. Someone mentioned Bill Cooper. Where did someone mention Bill Cooper? Hello, Mark. How you doing? TK. All right. What is a backslapper? Right. Do you know someone who's not a skeptic? Right. They actually do. They do have a basic belief in, say, UFOs, and they all and whenever you talk about other people within the community, they turn to you and they say, "That person's really naive. They're really naive." Right, that's one sign. And also, when you bring up something, you bring some kind of new thing that's just come out in the alternative media, and they say, "That's a psyop, man. It's a psyop. It's not real." All right. Now, if they do that, TK, they're a backslapper. All right, that's a backslapper. All right. Ned Rice and Bing. I'm sure you've got a line by now, haven't you? David's got a line. Yeah, and keep going. You'll get your bottle of Lambrini. Anyway, where were we? Right. Yes. Now, Bill Cooper made a good point, and Richard and Andrew are right to bring this up. apparently Osama bin Laden, from the mid-90s onwards, he was being traced by the CIA, the NSA. Everyone was after him. Everyone. He was the most wanted man in the world. Long before 9/11, he was the most wanted man in the world. And they had satellites looking for him. They had human intelligence, electronic intelligence, everything you can imagine trying to find him. Where was his cave? Where was he hiding out? And Bill Cooper says some jerk-off reporter from the New York Times just wanders into his hideout and does an interview with him. Yeah, good point. How do they know? Now, Richard then applies this to Edward Snowden in Russia, because there was this comedian who went and met him. Now, I don't think that's actually quite a fair. That's not that. I don't think there's a parallel there, because Richard and Andrew were saying basically that this situation with Edward Snowden in Russia is exactly the same as Bin Laden in Afghanistan. And no, it's not, because you see, Edward Snowden's asylum. Edward Snowden essentially has a very different situation with asylum, political asylum in Russia than Bin Laden did in Afghanistan. I think that the United States does actually have some sense of has a bit more respect from the geographical integrity and sovereignty of Russia than it does with Afghanistan. Probably because Russia could fight back. I mean, if they, the idea that you could send in like a CIA hit squad to kill Snowden or kidnap him in Russia, it's just ridiculous. Even Russia's a huge country. Snowden's probably somewhere a long way from the coasts. And somehow they could just send someone in to get him. I mean, why didn't they do that for Kim Philby? Why didn't they do it for George Blake? You see, it's not the same as Bin Laden in Afghanistan. What's Bill Cooper and Richard and Andrew said about Bin Laden was absolutely correct, but then they apply it wrongly to Snowden in Russia. It's not the same situation. But then at the end, Richard says this. He makes the same point. This comedian found Edward Snowden in Russia when the CIA and everyone can't find him, and he says, if you believe that, you'll believe anything. Bing. I know. I think we're getting close now. Everyone's like doing this with their pen over the card, aren't they? That bottle of Lambrini is missing. Hey, Jam Noise 72, how you doing? How you doing? What have I missed? Oh, Jam Noise. We're talking about Julian Assange. Wait, you catch up, right? Is the dark journalist a backslapper? What are your thoughts on him and his research generally? I don't think he's not. No, I don't think he's a backslapper. I think he's cool. Yeah, David says, yes, this is how easily Richard Hall jumps to conclusions. He does indeed. Yeah. Oh, West London's got there already. Oh, dear. Bingo. See how we are living. This didn't stop the CIA hitting in the valley. How do you know that it was the CIA that did it? It only happened a short while ago. It only happened a short while ago. Oh, Kodo says what? ODO pridely dignified. Oh, don't you ODO me. If you don't know what I'm talking about there, you need to read the HPWA blog. Yeah, always Richard. Yeah, he jumps to the wrong. He does sometimes, Richard. Yeah, he does. And I mean, Richard's dead right, and he's very good in some areas, and then he seems to lose it in others. For example, he'll say, "Well, he'll say things like, "Well, I've made this point before, but he said I've solved Rendlesham Forest. I've solved a 45-year-old mystery that everyone's been trying to solve for ages and ages, but I've managed it. I've done it where everyone else has failed. Do you know why? Do you know how I've done it? I've tossed aside all other forms of research and scholarship, and I brought in Peter Hyatt to do statement analysis. That's it. That's all you need." It's like, it's almost like Peter Hyatt is some kind of magic wand. You just wave it, abracadabra, abracadabra. You know everything. You know everything. It's like, I mean, this is nonsense. This is crazy. I mean, if there was a bank robbery, and the police then just sealed off the area and they took fingerprints and stuff like that, and they hairs from little fibers from the jackets and from the clothing of the robbers and things like that, and got all the forensic evidence and got all the CCTV evidence, and then you arrest this. There's this old lady walking past on a Zimmer, and you just drag her off to the police station and give her the Peter Hyatt treatment and say, "Well, there we are. We've caught the miscreant. We've caught the suspect. Let's charge them." And they say, "Hang on, what about all the fingerprints?" "Oh, forget that. We've just given her Peter Hyatt. We've given her the Peter Hyatt analysis. She's guilty." David. Do you still think Mr. Hall is correct about the Madeleine McCann case? Yes, he is. Yes, he did. Definitely. Right. Okay. Oh, wait, I mean, now this is. I'm not suggesting you go out and do this unless you're feeling very mischievous. But if you're ever with a backslapper, how do you arrange them? How do you wind them up? If you want to wind them up, how do you do it? It's very simple. Call them naive. If you call them naive, they go nuts. They completely lose it. This is the one insult they cannot stand. They can tolerate anything except being called. They can't stand the idea that something's going on in this world that they themselves have been taken in by. They can't abide the thought that they themselves have been fooled as well, because their whole self-esteem comes from the fact that we're the ones who are never taken in by anything, man. We're the ones we're always in the know, man. We're always in the know. We're always on the ball with our streetwise wisdom, man. So you call them naive and they go nuts. Well, then let's just say, let's just ask ourselves some legitimate questions, which Richard and Andrew do bring up. Why has Julian Assange said there was no 9/11 conspiracy when all the evidence points to it being so? Why has he said no, the official story of 9/11 is correct? Wouldn't you think he would at least suspect it? This is another thing he's done wrong. I mean, I think leaking the BNP membership was a wrong thing to do. I think that was a breach of data protection, and it served no real purpose except to get a few people sacked from their jobs for having the wrong opinions. And then a guy who's worldly wise as him says, "Oh no 9/11 conspiracy. It really was the 19 hijackers. They really did hijack the planes. The planes really did crash into the building, and then the buildings then just turned into clouds of dust because of the impact of the fire." Yeah, he should know better. I mean, why doesn't he know better? Yeah, so that is worrying. Richard and Andrew say that Russia Today is disinfo. Bing. Yeah. Now there is something weird about his background, which Richard and Andrew bring up in the program. Now he was born in July 1971, and when he was 1 year old, his mother married Brett Assange, an actor who was actually he was not actually his biological father, but whom Julian regards as his father. It's the guy who visited him in jail. Now, Brett Assange was an actor with whom she ran a small theatre company. Christine and Brett Assange divorced in 1979. Christine, and then by then he'd have been like about 8 years old. Julian would have been 8 years old. And Christine, his mother, then became involved with a man called Leif Maynell, also known as Leif Hamilton. Now, he was a member of this group, the Family. Now, this is strange. Now, this family is also known as the Santa Keaton Park Association, or the Great White Brotherhood, formed in the mid-1960s under the leadership of Anne Hamilton Byrne. And the group taught a mixture of Western and Eastern religious doctrines, with Hamilton Byrne claiming to be Jesus. And what was particularly worrying about this particular group was they had a lot of children with them. They adopted about 50 kids, 50 children, to whom they gave indoctrination, and it's alleged they gave them LSD when they were little kids and things like that. And there was all kinds of there's beatings and torture and things like that have been alleged. Now, was this? I mean, Richard and Andrew think they've spotted one of the boys in one of the news reports who looks a bit like Julian. He's about the right age. Could it be that the family was essentially being used to train and maybe indoctrinate super soldiers or spies? It could be that the CIA was using a third-party country because it's easier than that. And funnily enough, this was never dealt with by the law. I mean, when eventually the police arrested the leader, this lady, Anne Hamilton Byrne, she got a $500 fine. And she died at a hospital called the Royal Freemasons Hospital. Yeah. Well, mind you, I mean, there are several hospitals with the Freemasons in them, and Freemasons have run and organised several hospitals. There's not necessarily anything nefarious about that. And then he was a hacker and things like that. So how are we getting on? Anyone got a full house? I think I have. Yeah, I think if you'd have to watch the entire video to play bingo properly. I think to play a backslapper bingo properly. Right, so that's that. I think that's it. Oh, yeah, there's a bit more here. Well, oh, how come this is not right? This is odd. Right, yeah. Julian Assange appeared in. Hang on, this is in the wrong place. One sec, guys. I've just got to add. I've just got to reorganise my notes. Right. Now, this is also one of Richard's videos. I can't remember, maybe this one later on, but Julian Assange appeared a couple of times in The Simpsons. He's portrayed by himself as an Australian, and he's portrayed by himself and plays himself. He was at the Simpsons family's next door neighbour's barbecue in the Outlands, in the episode called The Outlands. They briefly come across their neighbour Julian Assange, who created WikiLeaks. Now, Assange guest starred in the episode as himself. Now, according to Richard and Andrew, how did it? They say, well, they claimed that he was taken. He went to the Abbey Road studios to record the voice for that character himself in The Simpsons. Now, if that's the case, how come he was under house arrest in the Ecuadorian embassy and he was allowed to go to the Abbey Road studios? Well, according to the source I found, which Wikipedia. Okay, we don't. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. It's fake. Well, just bear in mind, we don't know for certain that the other side is right either. He recorded his lines over the phone while he was under house arrest in Britain. So it was obviously very, recording. I mean, if you listen to it, it sounds very good quality. So it was probably like it can't have been like a normal landline. It must have been like a mobile phone or Skype or something. Yeah. Is that the end of my notes? I think it is. Yeah, that's all my notes. So, guys, how are you guys getting on? The Art of Illusion and Confusion. Confucius say they're doing a good job. Yeah, definitely, yeah. West Londoner. It's a thought-provoking documentary by RDH, worth a watch. It is. You don't have to agree with everything. You don't have to agree with everything in it. Jam noise. Put some tunes on. Let's have a rave. I'd love to. If you know what YouTube are like. I could play like a really really old song that's just on every radio, and they'll detect it and they'll ban my. I think they'll ban this live stream like they did the last one. Sweetest Foxman. Bin Laden died before the Bora Bora Mountains. Obama destroyed the evidence of the straw man's body. The CIA invented Bin Laden. Yeah. And I think I've got a feeling the 2011 thing was the raid in Abbottabad. There's several reasons why that might have been staged. It was just before the 10th anniversary. I think Bin Laden needed to be written out. Secondly, it certainly helped with Obama's re-election prospects, didn't it? Ben, I do too, even though that work is on the back of prior research, principally by Gonçalo Amaro, the Portuguese detective in charge of the Madeleine McCann case, who wrote the book about the parents doing it. Yeah, David, it's just a book that the McCanns are trying to stop him translating it into English, aren't they? They don't want people in this country reading it, do they? Yeah. Dark Corners, how you doing, Dark Corners? Coming in late. Oh, no worries, mate. No worries. Obviously, it's all available for you afterwards. 69 Fukai. I'm off to the China show. Great weekend, Bodhisattvas. Thank you very much. Peace be upon you, sir. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, David? They managed to have it banned from prosecution, from publication. Yeah, the McCanns. Yeah, I mean, there was that new news story that came out about the McCanns, wasn't there? Yeah, they've got another suspect or something, didn't they? I wonder if it coincides with something that it coincided with something that Richard discovered. Let's have a look. Madeleine McCann, latest. Yeah. Bombshell claim made by expat who heard of a plot to sell the youngster to a childless couple. Plot to kidnap hatched a week before Madeleine McCann disappeared. Oh, here we go. Right. This is another. Is this another? They do this every so often. They regurgitate this story with some new apparent breakthrough. Expat Ken Ralph said that Christian B, the German drifter, is suspected of abducting Madeleine and trying to recruit a mutual friend to help find a youngster to sell to a childless couple. So yeah. I think that if they brought this up, it must be for a reason. Let's have a look at what Richard's latest on this. Madeleine. I'll just put in search. Let's show you what I'm doing. Madeleine McCann. Let's have a look. Has Richard put anything new up? Not since 2019, no. But it could be Richard's about to publish something new, and someone's got wind of it, and they've decided to head him off at the pass with this story about, oh, this drifter was going to take her and sell her for human trafficking, Yeah. It possibly is some kind of like getting the disinformation in there first, yeah. Because Richard is absolutely right, because sometimes there is disinformation and sometimes there is psyops. They exist. I just don't think everything's a psyop, and I don't think I'm the only one who can see it, and everyone else is inferior to me. Sweep says, Assange political weapons pushed by Hillary to ISIS rebels in Syria, WikiLeaks. Assange, terrible release from independent journalism, huh? Yeah. I don't know if you saw what I posted. I posted this earlier today, actually. Where is it? Here we go. I posted this meme on Facebook and Twitter. I don't know if it's still there. It might have been deleted by somebody. Right, let me just show it to you. There you go. If you're going, this is that's Shamina Begum, who's just had her appeal against being stripped of British citizenship rejected. If we're going to exile the woman on the left for joining the Islamic State, could we also ban the people on the right from the country for creating the Islamic State? And there's all smiling hills there. That's King, what's his name, Saudi Arabia. I don't even remember his name. He's the Israeli foreign minister. But if you look at the evidence, and I mean, I won't go into details here. I did cover it on Third Rail Radio. We talked about it on The Mindset years ago, that the whole thing had been just basically set up from the start. He thinks, Michael Snow, Richard D. Hall thinks absolutely everything is a psyop, yes. Don't tell him that Andrew Johnson is an agent, because that will really... No, I'm kidding. Andrew Johnson is not an agent. He's a rather insensitive dickhead, but he's not an agent. Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to take a little break. I'll be back in a second. And if you can think of anything, new questions or comments, please let me know, because I'm interested to hear some feedback on what I've just been talking about. coming out. I'm coming out. Oh, how you going? Right. Hugo, Sayof the King. All right. Yeah. The High Court, the Royal Courts of Justice, top end of Fleet Street. Yeah, I went there to see Richard's hearing, and I got there pretty early. It's actually a horrible place. I don't know if you've ever been in it, but it's a bloody horrible place. It's like Dracula's castle. It's got horrible energy, really awful energy. Oh, you're going to sleep. Night, night, Mark. Take care. Oh yes, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. is your show. Will the ghost appear this time? There was like a poltergeist last week. You know about that? Oh, a spelling mistake. All right. Oh, Stuff the King. I see. Right, you are. Okay. Jam noise. Wash my hands. Of course I did. Jam noise. Of course. Definitely. Andrew's indeed a sensitive little creature. Yeah. As I said, it's a personal issue. It's like with Richard. I fell out with Richard because, well, he does this. He just on Facebook. I can say this because he did it on a public group. He just said, "Oh, I was an effing servant to the mainstream media because I disagreed with him on something." And of course, how does he think I'm going to respond to that? Does he think I'm too nice to hit the block button and say, "Fuck off, Richard"? Of course I'm not. If he thought that, he underestimated me. And Andrew, of course, I'm not going to go into it. I've talked before about the business with Ian R. Crane. And yeah, I think he's completely unrepentant about it, and I don't think there's going to be a resolution. So be it. This doesn't mean I've changed my mind on any of the factual issues they talk about. It doesn't mean I won't continue to promote their information. It doesn't mean that I think Richard really, really doesn't deserve what's happened to him. I think he really doesn't. Yeah, special a bit. I hope he comes back. Channel him. Jam noise, yeah. R.I.P. Ian R. Crane. I miss that. I miss him so much. And I didn't know him as well as I knew Gareth. I wasn't like we sort of knew each other. We would sort of speak on the phone maybe once a year or something like that. But I loved the guy. I thought he was great. I thought he was brilliant. He made some mistakes, which Andrew. See, this is what. Yeah, it's ironic because Andrew Johnson actually, what he said factually about Ian, I agree with. His criticism of Ian was correct. He said it. It's just where he said it and when. That's not. Oh, he used to appear he used to wear. It was either a sun hat or a deer stalker, depending on the time of year. He used to do those vlogs, didn't he? He used to do those vlogs and in the field with his caravan. Yeah. Ben, what happened to the GMAF people? Ian was trying to help. What happened to those? Yeah, that couple. What was their names? What were their names? Is Mary here? Is Mary here? Oh, right. Is Mary here? I didn't see Mary. Let's have a look. I've forgotten her actual username. It's different to her real name. Is she here? Oh, it's Papa, isn't it? It's Papa. Oh, Papa Lang. That's Mary. Hey, Mary. Welcome. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, I'll see you on the live stream. Do tomorrow. Go to the Crafty Nihilists channel tomorrow, 7 p.m. And there'll be a live stream with a quiz, which I will win again, of course. Yeah, and Ian was this little short guy, but he was like he just filled up the room around him. It's amazing. He had these huge hands, but he's a little short guy with these huge, he was like a big teddy bear. He was like a little teddy, like a big cuddly sort of teddy bear kind of guy. He's great. He was great. But yeah, and David, to come back to David's question. What are their names? Yeah. What's their names? Just a moment, I'll look them up. Because one of them went, but they both went to jail, didn't they? He and his wife. She was in France, and he was English, and she was French. Gee, hang on. Yeah. There was that. Here we go. It's a protein-derived macrophage, GC protein-derived macrophage activating factor. Right. Since around 2008, GC-MAF has been promoted as a cure for, I can't say that word, but it's a word that begins with the letter C, and it's a very nasty disease. Let's have a look. Let's go through here. Noakes, yes. David Noakes. Of course it was David Noakes, a British computer consultant, founded Immunobiotech to promote an unproven therapy for C, the disease, GC-MAF. Right, yeah. His wife was in jail. He was jailed here in Britain, and she was jailed in France. David Noakes, yes. Yeah. Yes, this is bloody awful, isn't it? I mean, I don't have time to read all this, but you can read his wiki. He's got a Wikipedia page. I haven't found out what happened to him. It just says here, the last entry on Wikipedia is April 2021. Noakes pleaded guilty in France to manufacturing and selling fake medicinal products and cosmetic. Sentenced to 4 years in jail, so he must be in jail now. Well, does anyone believe he's guilty? I don't. I mean, I don't believe Julian Assange is... Just because someone's been in court doesn't mean they're guilty. I don't believe Julian Assange is guilty. I don't believe Richard D. Hall is guilty. David Noakes might be. I don't know as much about that case as I do about the other two, but I'm not gonna say so just because it says so on Wikipedia and he's been through court. John Anthony Hill, he was in. He luckily was found not guilty, but he came within a hair's breadth of like a 7-year prison sentence. And all he had done is he sent copies of his movie to people who were like who were part of an inquiry, to the witnesses of an inquiry. That's all he did. Oh, right. Oh, Julian Assange appeared as a 3D hologram in the 2014 Nantucket conference. They can make people do that now, can't they, Sweeps? Yeah. I remember that was Michael Jackson. He looked so real, Michael Jackson. This was years after he died, and he was everywhere, wasn't he? Jam Noise says, Assange is weird. I don't trust him. I don't trust him 100% either, Jackie. I mean, one of the best things about Richard and Andrew's video was they asked quite legitimately, why is he said all this about 9/11? Why did Edward Snowden say that shit about UFOs? How can he possibly believe that with his experience? How can Assange possibly believe this sort of thing? Yeah. David, glad you get to play quizzes. Looking forward to your next one. Oh, on Hapanma. Right. Maybe we should go and do a quiz again. Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, if you want to play Backslapper Bingo, it's much more productive to go to Stephen Cambion's channel or Jeremy Reese, the alien scientist. Richard's film was very good and thought-provoking. Some of them are. I thought the one about Julian, I mean, I think some bits of it were, others I thought weren't, but some bits of it were, yeah. That's it, Sam. That's Lynn Thayer. That's her name, yeah. She was jailed as well. She was in prison too for creating this GC-MAF. So, does anyone have any more questions or comments? Because I think we've sort of gone through everything now. Really, yeah. Jam Noise says his childhood is odd AF. Yeah. Well, this connection to this family thing. I mean, there's a documentary about the family. Hello, Spanish Chicken. Welcome. Could I have a bite of your leg, please? Yeah, and maybe I could mix the rest of you into a tortilla. That would be nice. Yeah, I mean, just if... Oh, thanks. You're welcome, Hugo. You're welcome. You're welcome, Hugo. I'm glad you did. I'm glad you caught us live. I was just thinking... I forgot I was going. What was I talking about? Oh, the latest RDH film is the one. I think it's the one about. He's covered. He's the reason. His most recent ones are about the. It's basically his defense against these ridiculous attacks that have been carried out about him against him in court. And there's this is the I've not seen. I don't think I've seen this one. Have I seen this one? This one was released when? Oh, 29th of January. Yeah, I think I did see this one. But this is the latest. Here, this is about his appearance in court. So, yeah. And things like that. He actually mentions the article I wrote as well, which is fine. I mean, I don't. He actually cut and pasted some of my report because I was there, which is fine. I don't claim copyright on anything that I don't claim copyright on anything I publish apart from my books. West Londoner. Oh, you're welcome. Night, West Londoner. You're off. Okay, guys. So, if that's it, I think we'll call it a night. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has joined and has taken part in this live stream. If you wrote me some, if you posted some questions and I didn't answer them, you could always email them. Or I'll tell you what, better still, if I, because I was reading out the lead off, if I posted if you posted some comments in the chat which you want me to look at again, all you have to do is copy them into a comment underneath the recording. That's all you've got to do. Thumbs up, Chief. See you down the road. Lots of hugs to you, Jackie. Night. And I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's taken part. Michael Snow, Spanish Chicken, West London, Jam Noise 72, Sam Rowbottom, David Splendid Isolation, Sweeps Foxman, West Londoner, the Health Channel. All right, hello Health Channel, welcome. I didn't see you there. To Marie, I know that's your name. I'll see you tomorrow night, Marie, on the channel, on the Crafty Nihilist's channel. Welsh Ripper, Hugo Rune, See How We Are Living, Hatchy, and anyone else I've missed out. 69 Phuket, Dark Corners UK, and anyone else. If I've missed you out, I apologise. But Della Farrant, night. My oven is oh good, Della. I must have inspired you to be very, very good at things. Seth Aaron Fletcher, night. Night, Jackie. Night, Johnny Fettler. Night, See How We Are Living. Night, David Splendid Isolation. Night, Hugo. It's like with the Waltons, isn't it? We've got to have this little session. Yeah, it's been a good live stream. As for Julian Assange, I don't trust him 100% either, but I'm not as convinced as Richard and Andrew that he is a shill. I would say that it's something to look into, but I'm not convinced. So I don't think he deserves. I do think he's been in prison, and I do think he doesn't deserve that. That ain't Chan Boy. So yeah. Oh, by the way, Ashton Forbes he's not going to do his regular live streams anymore. Did you hear about that? He's retiring. He says. So I hope he keeps his YouTube channel and all the things he's done so far, which I haven't caught up on anyway. So you know. But anyway, I'm not retiring. I'm not retiring anyway. So thank you all for watching Hapanwo TV. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. I'm off to have a glass of wine.